What did you understand about an effective education system from studying foreign language at the same time, doing such a diversity? Like if you were to design an education system from scratch for young people, especially in the 21st century, what would that look like? You posted about the value of mathematics as a foundation for everything.
Yeah, I still think math is essential. It's something that shapes your brain. It teaches you to rely on your logical thinking to split big problems into smaller parts, put them in the right sequence, solve them patiently, trying again if it doesn't work. And this is exactly the same skill you need in programming, in project management, when you start your own company. And it's one of the few subjects at school which encourages you to develop your own thinking as opposed to rely on what other people have to say and just repeating their opinions. That is extremely valuable. And of course, once you're good at math, you can apply it in physics, in engineering, in coding. And it's not surprising that most of the most successful tech founders and CEOs are very good at math and coding because ultimately it's the same mental skill that you rely on. But back then in the school, I realized something else as well. It's that competition is really important. Competition is key. This is what motivates a lot of teenagers when they're at school. And if you remove competition out of the education system, you end up forcing kids to start competing elsewhere. For example, in video games. It's a trend you see now in many countries, including in the West, when well meaning authorities or parents say, we don't want our kids to be too stressed. We don't want them to feel anxiety. So let's just get rid of all the public grading system, all these rankings of who won, who lost. We don't want any of that. And part of it is justified, but as a result, some kids lose interest. Yes, you eliminate the losers, but you end up eliminating the winners as well. And then if you're overprotective of the kids in that age, they grow up, graduate schools, the universities, and they are still not prepared for real life because real life is constant competition for jobs, for promotions, for customers, and it's more brutal. What you have as a result is high suicide rates, high unemployment, all the things and negative trends you see now. In many countries which thought eliminating competition from their education system was a good idea, they still persist. They still think competition is a bad thing. They try to eliminate competition from their economy as well to an extent, saying we're gonna make sure the losers don't lose and the winners don't get too much. But as a result, they make their entire systems less competitive, their entire economies. Some of them in Europe are now struggling to keep up with China, with South Korea, with Singapore, with Japan, and other places where the education system was based on ruthless competition. So this is a hard choice any civilization has to make. We support competition, understanding that it eventually leads to progress in science and technology and abundance for the society at large. Or we remove competition, thinking that somehow we can shield the future generations from the stress that competition inevitably causes.
Yeah, I mean, it's grounded in a good instinct of compassion. You don't want people who suck at a thing to feel pain. But it seems like struggle is a part of life. Either you do it early or you do it later. And it's true. That's such a good point that competition does seem to be a really powerful driver of skill development. Like you mentioned, pursuing mastery. There's something in human nature that, especially for young people, if you can compete at a thing, you're going to be really driven to get good at that thing. If you can direct that in the education system, as China does, as many nations like you mentioned do, then you're going to develop a lot of brilliant people, resilient people, people that are ready to create epic shit in the world.
I think there is a lot of evidence proving that we are biologically wired to compete and establish our understanding of what our qualities are and talents are in relation to other people around us. And this is one of the ways society self-regulates.